Hey guys, so today's video I'm just going to very briefly go over what my planned schedule is for restarting studying for my Fundamentals of Engineering exam. I've talked about this in past videos, but overall it's just my licensure exam to begin the first step of becoming a licensed civil engineer, which for civil engineers is basically you take a test right around when you graduate, either during your senior year or right after your senior year. The tests all your standard knowledge of everything STEM related, basically from calculus to physics to some of them even being specific civil engineering topics like structural design and all that. The purpose of this kind of acts like an SAT of sorts for civil engineering, just making sure that you're going into industry with the base knowledge of what you should know to be a civil engineer and to eventually get your license. The next step of the process is to spend 4 years in the industry doing actual civil engineering work, and then you take your professional engineering licensure exam to actually get your license. There's some caveats and exclusions to that, but I'm just going to leave it there. So the test itself is 6 hours long with, I'm blanking on the number, I want to say 120 questions, 110 questions, something along those lines. And it's graded based on how well everyone else does. So you just need to be pretty much above whatever the average ends up being. So if the average is everyone gets 70 out of 110 questions right, you need to be above that average to pass or something along those lines. I'm not saying that perfectly, but that's roughly what it comes out to. To prepare for this, I was studying pretty hardcore all of March for sure, and a good amount of February for this because I planned on taking it mid-March. Obviously, the virus got in the way of that about a week and a half to 2 weeks before I actually took the exam. So I've been kind of set back by that. I rescheduled my date for July 11th. So starting tomorrow, June 1st, I will be restarting that studying process, going from the very beginning, hitting all the topics, and just basically making sure I still remember and have learned everything in civil engineering. To start my schedule, my plan right now anyway, is I have pretty much 6 weeks, give or take, actually. I want to check that. Let's see if I can get it on my watch. Is that the easiest way for me to do this? Probably not. Best way would be for me to get an actual thing, but awesome. No, this is absolutely useless. Okay. I was going to see whether the 11th falls at the beginning week or end of the week, but it doesn't matter. It's roughly 6 weeks. The whole point is, for the next 2 weeks, my intention is to study at least 10 hours a week, let's call it. I'm going to say 10, knowing I'm going to undershoot it. My real goal is closer to 7 hours a week, an hour a day, more or less. But I'm going to say 10 with the hope that I actually hit 7. Because if I say 7, chances are I'll do 5. So my goal is 10 hours a week. However I do that. Ultimately, I would like to spend an hour or two a day would be ideal. Realistically, what's going to happen is I'm going to skip a couple days here and there, and then if I do meet those goals, I'll likely be doing it 3 hours in 3 days, give or take, which sounds brutal just thinking about it. So hopefully I actually can stick to my goal and just put in an hour each day. It shouldn't be hard. I wake up pretty early. I could very easily put in an hour before breakfast, because I usually wait to eat breakfast with my sister every morning around 10. She wakes up. I'm up by 8 o'clock at the very, very latest. Usually I'm like out of bed, dressed, ready to go by 8 o'clock. So if I spend from 8 to 10-ish every day just studying, that would be a huge help for me as far as actually relearning all these topics. So yeah, that's my schedule. After these next 2 weeks, I'll probably ramp that up to, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 hours a week. Put in 2 hours a day, give or take. So 3 hours a day, probably 2 hours a day. Ramp it up to 15, and like the week before the exam, I'll study more or less nonstop, 5 hours a day, give or take. And hopefully that'll be enough to pass my exam. I basically heard that the exam is easier than you would anticipate for it, but I have heard many people fail. So I'm nervous, but I'm confident I'll be able to figure it out. In any case, that's enough for this video. I'm going to wrap it up here. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in tomorrow's episode.